Hi, and welcome to Apple Cottage. Tonight I'm going to talk more about how I plan out my gardens. In a recent video I did mention that I plan out my gardens before, so I know exactly how many seeds I need to order, what plants I'm going to have in that garden, because I have several gardens that I garden in. And I did have a couple people ask me if I would go in a little more detail on how I actually plan out my garden, and so tonight I'm going to talk about that. I always like to put it out on grid paper. That way I can know exactly the space that I have, and I'm not just bringing my seeds over to the garden um, and hoping that I have enough seeds, or hoping that I um, guess the right sizes for everything. And so I like to plan it all out on graph paper. I used to use just the 8x10 graph paper, and that was fine. And then at Home Depot I found this wonderful graph paper that is much larger, and it's easier to plan it out, and you can actually you have enough room to put individual plants on the graph paper, and that's worked real well. So I just wanted to show you that tonight. So this is the graph paper that I use. It's very large, and I'm going to actually move the camera back just a little bit so you can see just how big it is. So here we go. And so what I do is I draw out my whole plot. Now this is at the North Community Garden, this plot that I'm using for demonstration. It's a 400 square foot plot is what they tell us. Mine is a little bit smaller than that, but that's okay. Mine is basically about 20 feet long by about 16 feet across. And in this garden, it has a tendency to get bad weather. The way the clouds come in through Gillette, a lot of times it can get hailed on, has a lot of wind, it can have early frosts and late frosts. And so I decided, basically, for the most part, this is going to be for root plants, root vegetables. So I'm going to push that out a little bit farther. You can just see how large that graph paper is. And that's at Office Depot that you can get that. And I actually got it in the art section, not where I thought it would be. So what I did is, I can literally plan out every single vegetable that I'm putting on here. So really, for the most part, this is carrots, beets, turnips, rutabagas, basically root vegetables. With the exception, like, I consider onions a root vegetable, even though for the most part, by the time the end of the summer is, they're basically above the ground. I consider leeks as a root vegetable. And I'm actually going to put some celery in here too. I'm going to come a little bit closer so that you can see the different parts of it. Because the graph paper is so precise, I can really plan out exactly what vegetable is going to go where. And then I use these little tabs that I can move around. And when I first do them, I always do this in pencil, because I might want to move things around. But this one is done in pen because I'd already done a couple designs at first, and then I really finalized it, and so then it was ready to go. It makes it so that it's easy to space. So let's take, for example, my onions. I have onions here and I have onions here. The size of the graph paper allows me to put circles where every single place I'm going to put my onion. So I know I can write that I want them 6 inches apart. I want them 12 inches apart between the rows. And this just lets me do that. Then I know exactly how many onion plants I need, how many leek plants I need. And it gives me the area right here that I'm going to do some cabbages. They're not a root crop, I know. But they go along with my other crops, and I use them together, and so it works out good. And so I can literally draw how big I estimate those cabbages to be. I can write the type of cabbage in there. This one has beets, and I can do how many rows. I can write the type of beet that I'm going to do. I'm going to try some different kinds of turnips and rutabagas. So I'm excited about that. I already have the garlic down here. It's already planted. I planted it this fall. And so that area is already planted. And actually, all of this other area has cover crops on it right now. And then I actually put some leaves that were shredded up very finely. And so those are on top of those too. It has an area for my little compost bin. I have a turning compost bin that works real well. It lets me put my celery, my spinach, and I actually have a little bit of space right here that I'm going to just put a couple tomatoes. I have an arbor when you come into my plot, and so I'm going to grow some pumpkins over top of that. But really, it's going to be carrots, onions, rutabagas, beets, turnips, leeks, really a lot of ground crops. Over here are all my carrots. And in each row, I have enough room that I can literally write what type of carrot is going in there, how much feet per carrot row there is. And this is just a great way to start your garden. And so with each garden, I have maps like this. I like to keep them year after year so that I can write on there what was good, what was bad, what I would have rather, it would have worked better if I would have moved those carrots over into this area. And it just helps me to be productive and not waste any time. Because when you have several gardens that you use, you want to be efficient. The other thing I wanted to show you in this video, I always try to get a couple new tools every year. I like DeWitt tools. They're good, they're sturdy, I like their wood handles. And so my two new tools for this year is one, I'm going to slide this over here a little bit so you can see it better, is a dibbler. Now, you may never ever use a dibbler when you're gardening, but I like to grow leeks. And so it has inches on here. So 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches, 5 inches, 6 inches. And when I go to plant my leeks, I like to push a dibbler in, and I used to use just the end of a hoe, to the 6-inch mark. Then I just drop that plant in there. I don't cover it up with soil. When I go to water it right away, some of it's going to fill in. And as the summer progresses, it completely fills in. The water moves the soil around, but it has that nice long blanched area. And so I wanted one of these for a long time, so this was one of my tools for the year. And my other new tool, if you have never seen one of these, is actually called an onion hoe. And I'll put a link below to DeWitt's webpage. But a lot of times you can buy these at garden centers, and they'll have a whole display of DeWitt tools. And I have a lot of their tools because I have just so enjoyed them. But an onion hoe is actually a tool that when the onion is sitting on the ground, the idea is you want to move that soil away from the onion bulb. And the more you do that, the larger your onion will become. And so I have always just used my hand or a spoon, and I just thought, I'm going to invest in this tool. We have a nice little new garden center here in Gillette, Wyoming, and I'll put a link for that too. And they have a huge display of DeWitt tools. I was so excited when I went in there. And it's just so easy. It's beveled on this edge so that when you're taking it around your onions, it will cut the weeds that might be there. And I'm just really excited about using that. So my advice this winter to everyone is, when you're planting your garden, you're ordering your seeds, you should be getting lots of seed catalogs by now. I know I have. I have lots of seed catalogs already, which is totally exciting. I love just spending some time drinking a cup of hot tea and thumbing through and seeing new varieties, or actually old varieties that are now in a catalog again, because I love heirloom vegetables. And so when you get your seeds, or you're planning to get your seeds, take some graph paper, even if it's just the 8x10 graph paper, and plan out your gardens. You'll know exactly if you need 1 package, 2 packages, 3 packages. And then any seeds that you have left over, share with your local seed library, and so that other people can have that benefit. I know there's a lot of people that buy new seeds every single year. I buy new seeds every single year, though I save seeds all the time too. And so just take some time this winter. Soon the snow will be blowing and it'll be cold, and it's just an inspiration going through those seed catalogs. And then when you can take those ideas and put them on paper, and then this spring transfer them to your garden, you will find that it's so efficient and so much easier to do. And I just hope that you try it this year if you've never done it before. So this is Sandy at Apple Cottage. As always, please like my videos, share them, and subscribe. And thanks so much.